Hello everyone, welcome back to another BrickSide Chat. We're on episode 28 this week, I believe. And last week we didn't actually have a BrickSide Chat. That is because we didn't have enough questions, unfortunately. So I've gone through and I found now all of the questions. And this last week from, last Saturday to now, we had a lot of questions. So this might be a little bit longer of an episode, but most of them I'm going to answer here. If your question's not answered here, I either answered in the comment section or I had some other way to contact you to answer those questions. But we've got a lot of things we're covering this week, but I first want to go over real quick PayPal cubic shipping, which Kyle mentioned 2 weeks ago in BrickSide Chat episode 27. A viewer found that you're able to do PayPal or cubic shipping on PayPal as well, as opposed to only pirate ship. Now, we did play around with this, and the way you do it is under the priority mail 1 to 3 day option, and then it's instead of selecting a flat rate box, you can select large package. I believe that's the option. I think it says large package. And when you select that, then you can put in your dimensions and your weight and everything, and from there, it is a cubic shipping method. Now, we've experimented twice. We've had 2 orders where it would have been worth it to use PayPal cubic shipping, or any cubic shipping, and we've looked and compared it between pirate ship and PayPal, and pirate ship for the 2 orders was still just slightly cheaper. Not a ton, but a little bit. So we still went with pirate ship there, and then you still copy over the tracking into PayPal, and you still get a PayPal seller protection there, as long as it was shipped with a courier and you could provide tracking info and stuff like that. So a little confusion from a couple weeks ago, but you can do cubic shipping on PayPal. But for us, at least the 2 times in the places it was going and stuff, it was cheaper on pirate ship, though at times it possibly could be cheaper with PayPal. Little second side note, we got a new patron this week, so Adrian, thank you so much for becoming a patron. We appreciate it, and I know you said you appreciate the videos and like what we're doing, so you wanted to support us, and thank you so much. If you guys want to become a patron, down in the description below, there is a link, and you can sign up there. There's also a link to our Discord, but if you become a patron, you can see a few exclusive things that we don't necessarily show everyone, and we have more content planned for coming out, or to come out on the Patreon in the coming weeks. So exclusive things for you guys there. Let's get into questions now. We haven't even started the questions yet, and we have a lot. The first 2 questions come from Michael, who says, why did they not include the duffel bag? And this is in relation to the video that came out on Friday, the Lego minifigure, or the Legoland minifigure duffel bag. We had 2 of them, and we did actually get 2 duffel bags. I forgot to show it on camera completely. I don't know what happened there. And I actually said the minifigs don't come in the duffel bag. And that's because, the duffel bag is still sealed up and it's brand new. And I don't know why, but I totally forgot to show a duffel bag. So we did get the duffel bag. The minifigs did not come in the duffel bag, unfortunately. Second question says, also, did you end up building most of the minifigs, or are you planning on selling the parts individually? We listed every single part, I believe, individually. We didn't actually build any minifigs. It wasn't going to be worth the time and the effort to go through and figure out if we can. And so we listed every single part. In addition to that, I don't think there are many that we would have been able to build anyway. It's possible, but we didn't really go through and check. We just listed them all. And now if I want to, I still have my brick stock files, and I'm still easily able to go through and check to see if we were able to build any. And, we still do have most of the parts in our inventory. We have been selling some, but they're not all gone yet. Next question comes from Toby. Now, I'm going to try to sum this up. It's a very long comment, but essentially the question is, how do you decide to organize your drawers on your wall? Toby said that he wants to set up an Acro Mills wall soon as well, and he was originally thinking of using a graph system with, an A column and then like a number 1 row. You have A, B, C, the columns for each drawer. And essentially you could go to drawer A4 and you go over to the first column and you go down 4, and that's where A4 is. That would work, but we actually haven't had any problem just going in numerical order. We started with drawer 1, and we go all the way to the right on the larger wall to drawer, I think it's 2080, and then we curve that corner, and then we go back up to the other side. You also mentioned maybe each Acro Mills unit has its own 2-digit number. So for example, and then each drawer has another 2-digit number. So for example, drawer 413 would be on Acro Mills unit 4, and then it is drawer 13 into that unit. You could do that as well. Because we have an aisleway, we have drawers on both sides of us. Now, Chris from the Great Brick Lab, and I'll put a little link down to his YouTube channel in the description below, but he developed a brilliant idea, and I don't know if he's the first one to do it, but he's definitely the first one I heard of doing it. He picks on both sides. He walks down his aisleways at the same time, meaning his left drawer is numbered in a way that shows up at the same time that his right drawer shows up. So he can walk down his aisleway, pick these parts, then pick these parts, take a step forward, pick these parts, no, there's step forward, and continue down that way, which is brilliant, especially if you have a longer pathway that you're doing. And if we ever expand, to have a larger aisleway, that'll definitely be something we do, where we have a two-sided pick path as opposed to just picking one side and then having to, circle around to the other side. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. We have no problem just ours is all labeled with a D because it's a drawer. We also have T for trays. We have B for bins, all those kinds of things. But you can label it with any A or B or C letter you want. I've seen people where they have a column of all the Acromills drawers, a whole unit column, and they'll go, A1 through 440 at the bottom, and then they'll go in like a B column. As opposed to just like a graph. So it's similar to a graph, but something a little different. It kind of mixes your two things of each drawer unit having a number and each drawer having a number. You can do it however you want, but we've had no problem at all because it's just, we all know how to count, and you just count up, and it's very simple. So totally up to you. There's a lot of ways you could do it. That's just the way we did it. Next question comes from JJ March 30. In regards to opening a BrickLink store, how long does it take for the store to get turned on? I sent an email to BrickLink about 4 weeks ago. So, unfortunately, 5 years ago, or almost 5.5, 6 years ago now maybe, when I started BrickLink, there was no verification process. You just signed up and you could open your store immediately. Now, I understand why they do the verification process because, you want to make sure people have the inventory and they're not just opening a store and going to sell a ton of stuff and never ship it out and then close the store and be gone forever and scam out people of a lot of their money. So 4 weeks to me sounds like a little bit of a long time, though. I'm not positive on that, but maybe go ahead and check to see if maybe email them one more time, because I would expect after 4 weeks they should reply. Now, if you guys are watching this and you did go through the verification process, please comment down below for JJ March 30 and let them know how long it took you to get your store open after you sent that email to be verified, because unfortunately I don't know that answer. Question from Juan Gabriel Serrano says, are you going to add a sheet of paper that contains the parts that the buyer bought from your store? And I imagine you mean an invoice inside of the box or something. And the answer to that is no. We don't really want to waste the extra paper. We don't print it out anyway. And the truth is, if I ship you the order, most likely once you get your order, you may look at that paper, or you're just going to take the paper out and throw it away. So there's no point in us wasting that paper to get it to you. If you really do need to go through and verify everything, which you should, go on BrickLink and find your order number for that store, and then you can scroll through the digital checklist. Just as we pick digitally, you can also check digitally after the fact. So we're not going to put an invoice inside of the box because it's just a waste of paper, unfortunately. Chris asks, how do you price your pieces? Very simple. We price it at the 6-month sales average, and we do that because the current sales average is generally a little bit higher because a lot of people price their parts higher. But the 6-month sales average is what has sold in the past 6 months, so if it's at that price, we know it's going to sell somewhere in there, it's possible it's going to sell. If you do it at the current average, some pieces are so over the top that they will probably never sell at that price. Knight 40K asked an interesting question. Do the three of you have equal stake in a direction that you take the BrickLink store and the YouTube channel? And I don't want to get too deep into this, but the answer is no. We don't each have an equal stake. We all have certain percentages and stuff that we agreed on early on. So one of the questions, or an additional question to this, I guess, was how would you figure out or resolve a potential dispute? So again, we have different, stakes in the company. So fortunately, there's 3 of us. It's not 50-50 between 2, so we can kind of compromise and talk there and stuff. I'm not going to get too far into that, but no, we do not each have an equal share in the store. Next question comes from Child of Shrek, who says, do you ever think you'll dabble in used parts? It would be cool to see some older pieces in your store. And that's something we're getting close to most likely doing, is used. It's probably going to happen sometime in the next couple months. Reason being, we've noticed our lot count, we're at 3,000 lots, which is fantastic, but it's really not that many. Even though we have 150,000 parts in our store, 3,000 lots is really at this point what is limiting the amount of sales that we can get. If we had 9,000 lots right now, we could be much higher in terms of how many sales we were getting, even if we only had 150,000 parts. So used obviously adds a lot more lots into your store, so that is a possibility of something we will do in the future. It's definitely been on our radar for a long time. We see a lot of stores that are opening with used parts that are doing really, really well. So it is on our radar, and it is definitely possible. And obviously, you guys will be the first to know when we're doing used parts, if that comes in the future. Dylan Harrison asked a question: does any of the team have jobs outside of BrickLink, and what are the long-term plans for the store? Yes, we all have jobs outside of BrickLink. I think I've said that a lot. But what are the long-term plans for the store? That's a great question. So I know a lot of us don't ever necessarily plan for this to become our only job. I know I definitely don't. I know Kyle definitely doesn't. Paul definitely does. None of us really want this to be our full-time thing, but we do all enjoy it. And if it can help supplement some of our income or add to the income we're already making, that is fantastic, and that's exactly what we want to do. Now, here's the truth. Potentially, if this could grow to be big enough where we can hire people and we can kind of take a step back from it and still make money, and it can become more of a passive type income with only having to manage a few things, that would be even better. But obviously, we are far away from that. But if that could potentially happen in the the long term of the store, that would be amazing. But ask us in 2 more years. It'll be a little different by then, I'm sure. But good question, and we've talked about it, and we're still figuring that out exactly. Life Pause asks, has Just a Brick in the Bucket ever looked at doing Duplo or selling Duplo parts? Any problems you may think of if you were selling Duplo parts? Now, the truth is we haven't thought about doing Duplo at all. It really was not something that ever crossed our mind. I do think it sells really well, actually, or it's expensive to buy and stuff. Like if you're reselling it, you can charge a lot. But we haven't thought about doing that. And I can't think of really any problems doing Duplo or selling Duplo, except for the fact that the bricks are so much larger. So obviously they're designed for younger kids who then can't swallow the bricks and stuff because they're not as small. But then we need some different storage thing because you can't fit a dozen Duplo 2x2 bricks in a small Acro Mills drawer. So if we were going to go the direction of adding a lot of Duplo, we would need to invest in larger drawers and or more bins to put the Duplo pieces in. So it'd be a little bit different. We haven't looked into that at all. It's probably not something we would consider anytime in the near future. We would get into used parts, I think, before we focus on any Duplo parts. But it is a Lego brand, and it's not off the table. It's something we could potentially do. Last question this week is from Scarlet Oil, who says, what does insurance do? Is it insurance for the buyer? I don't know what to do with it, or if I should even offer it. Now, insurance that the buyer requests is specifically for the shipping to them. So that means that if they pay, however much it is for you to ship it with insurance, let's say, for example, they're insuring a $20 package and the shipping is $3, and the insurance, just for ease of numbers, is $2. That means that you're insuring with that $2, you're going to the post office or, through PayPal, you're insuring that package up to $20, which is the amount that order is. So your total is $25 to ship that package, or the total cost for the buyer, sorry. They pay the $2 for insurance, plus the $3 for shipping, plus the $20 for the parts. Now what that means is if the package doesn't get to the buyer, and you use that $2 that the buyer paid you to insure that package, well, now you can go to the post office or whatever it might be, whoever you're shipping through, and say this package never got there, it got damaged, whatever it might be, and you'll get your money back. Meaning you can refund the buyer the money, so you're not out of the $20, and the buyer's upset and everything. You can deal with it there. So if they request insurance, it protects them on their end. Now, in reality, if you're shipping large packages, even if the buyer didn't pay for insurance, it's still probably smart on your end to insure a package, because then obviously you are not just risking a $100, $200, $300, $400 order going out the door and not making it there, because regardless of if the buyer purchased insurance or not, they're not going to be happy that their order never showed up or showed up totally crushed or whatever it might be. So insurance is something you charge the buyer if they want to insure their package while it is being shipped, while it is out of your hands. If it's a large order, I would recommend adding insurance to it, just regardless of whether the buyer wants it or not. So that's all the questions this week that I think hopefully fit in this video. Hopefully it's not too long. I honestly don't know how long I've been going. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you have any questions, please put a comment or question in the comment section below. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help us out, lets us know that these videos are helpful to people out there. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and click that. Click the bell and everything that's fun with that. And you'll be notified every time we post a video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one.